This portion of the broadcast is brought to you by Gary Riggs Home.
Our next guest is a world-famous surgeon who you'll remember from his miraculous 2003 surgery when he separated two conjoined twin boys from Egypt. Please welcome Dr. Kenneth Salyer. How are you?
What an honor to have you here.
Good to be here.
Yeah,
Good to be with you.
You know, I want to quote something that Lisa Gibbons wrote about his wonderful new book called A Life That Matters. And she said that, let me find it just a minute. She said, Dr. Salyer's fascinating book, A Life That Matters, describes his remarkable journey to give a voice to silent children by transforming their faces so that others can see their souls. That is so beautifully descriptive of what you do. And I'd like to know how that journey for you began.
The journey began in having many children that I didn't have the answer for. I had at Children's Medical Center here in Dallas, back in the early 70s, I had learned how to do and was developing cleft lip and palate surgery like Lacey's had here.
Yes, introduce who you brought with you, Miss Lacey Carpenter.
Carpenter is one of my dear, dear children that I talk about in the book. And she came to me, her mother brought her to me when she was a baby. And she now is a wonderful, fantastic, talented young lady that you're going to hear from.
Yes, she's a musician.
But she's an example of what we're talking about in the book. The transformation of kids
Is this
who
Lacey?
wouldn't be accepted. In the
Yes.
photograph there is Lacey when she was a baby. She had a severe bilateral cleft, and if you see, not enough tissue in the center of the lip. She has what you call a very small prolabium. So we had to create a new lip for her in addition to bone grafting. She had a series of operations, and you're going to hear from her today.
And she was how old then?
She was 3 months old.
How many years did it take?
Till she was fully grown.
Oh my gosh, so you endured a lot of different surgeries growing up as a child.
Yes, I
What
did.
kind of effect did that have on you?
Oh, it made me stronger.
It did.
Absolutely.
I love that answer.
Absolutely. He gives hope to every child and adult and family that he works with. And he builds self-confidence, self-esteem. And we're all grateful to have Dr. Salyer and his wonderful team.
Dr. Salyer, I know that your foundation is nonprofit. And so in the case of the Egyptian twins, they came over here. Do you have donors that help support people who cannot pay? Do you get private fundings for some of these surgeries?
Absolutely. The World Craniofacial Foundation, half of the proceeds from the book go to the foundation. And anyone can give a donation on worldcf.org. But the work for the twins, most of that was donated by the entire medical team. We did have to raise some money for the hospital, but it was a $2.5 million project.
Oh my goodness.
Isn't that just the most amazing thing? That number one, that you thought that had never been done before. Am I right on that?
That's right.
And the fact that you just knew you could do that.
Well, I wasn't sure I could do it. I knew that if we didn't do these boys, they would not have a life at all. They wouldn't make it. So I was motivated, as I am for all the children, to create a normal life for these kids. So we planned it over 8 months.
And they are just adorable.
And there are the boys doing an interview in Cairo in Arabic.
Gosh.
They speak fluent English and Arabic. And we just talked to them. They just had their 12th birthday. And they said over the phone, "Hello, Dr. Salyer," in perfect English. "How are you doing? We love you. And how is Lucy, your wife?"
And I bet you hear that from kids all the time that just continue to stay in touch with you, and I bet they're so grateful to you, and so and that the way that impacts you, I love those stories.
I'm the one who's been blessed for being able to do all of these children and see them grow up. And the main thing is they become very productive, but they have something special built in them. And you'll see in just a minute the kind of talent that Lacey has, but these kids go and do every walk of life, doctors, lawyers, and are doing fantastic. And without it, a majority of the children in other developing countries, as an example, don't even get cared for. Or with a deformity like Lacey, I've had them find the kids discarded in the trash, and older individuals have brought them in to have their repair. They're discarded.
And so are there hospitals all over the world that do that? Do you fly to different hospitals?
We train and set up doctors to do this in different places around the world, but there aren't enough. There are not nearly enough doctors and medical teams who know how to do this. So what we do is educate and fly in and demonstrate and develop centers in strategic areas on every continent in the world. And that's what the WCF does. And I've totally dedicated my life because of these kids.
And I guess there's no doubt about what your purpose is there?
There is no doubt.
No question at all.
You got it.
Oh, this is so wonderful.
Well, your story, just the stories that you share of these kids is just amazing. And young women now. And Lacey is actually going to stick around and perform for us coming up next. And so you have transformed into quite the musician.
Yes.
And so we are excited to hear that. That's next when the broadcast returns.